Welcome to Bravo Basics. This is a channel for bass players, for newer bass players, and the hope is that we would be able to add something of value, something that newer bass players can take away and apply it to their own bass playing. So in the previous video, I talked about finding octaves and equivalent notes. And just a quick recap, there are only 12 notes in Western music. So if you hit the open E, you get to the octave by going up 12 frets. So you can do it on the E string. You can go 12 frets on the A string, which would be the 7th fret on the A string. So you would go up 5, get to the A, and then another 12. Or even on the D string, so you go up 5, 5, and then 1, 2, and you're back at E. So this E is the same as this E, which is the same as this E. So those three are equivalent notes. So today I wanted to introduce the major scale. I'm sure a lot of the people are going to be familiar with it, but I want to build everything on the major scale. Everything I'm trying to do here would be built on the major scale, and that's using the modes. I think the modes are a really good tool for newer bass players. They sound complicated, but they're all based on the major scale. So if you know the major scale and you know the pattern, you can apply that same pattern to all the modes. And today I'm just going to introduce the major scale. I'm going to just do it in A, but it works in the pattern on bass. It doesn't matter which fret you're on, which note you're on. The pattern for the major scale works on any fret. So we'll start with A, and I'm going to just count the numbers, not necessarily the notes for the A major scale. Just know that there's 7 notes, and then we come back to the octave, and that would be the 8th. So here's I'll play through it, and then I'll count the notes. So there's there's 1 and 2. So between the first and the second, it's a full step. And if I want to get to the third, it's here, but it's also here. So there's 1, 2, 3. And that's when knowing the equivalent notes really helps. So 1, 2, 3. The 4th here. The 5th right here. The 6th, 7, and then back to the octave. I'm using them as numbers because that's how chord progressions are built. You'll hear people talking about the 1-4-5 chord progression or the 2-5-1, and it's based on the positions in the major scale or the dominant scale. In this case, since we're discussing the major scale and its modes, we'll just assume the numbers belong to the major scale. So once again, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. And it works anywhere. You can play it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, in the octave. You can even play it with the open E if you wanted to play it on one string. So you would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. And that's why it's important to know the octaves, because the scales repeat. So it's a good frame of reference. So once again, and it's good to practice them anywhere and just become familiar with that pattern. And so if you do it over and over, eventually you'll be able to get it. It's very important because everything else will be built on the major scale. And just for example, and we also get the chords from the scale. So all the chords we'll be dealing with are going to be based on the major scale and its modes. For instance, the major triads. So any chord is built of the major triad chords are built from 3 notes. They're built from the 1, the 3, and the 5. So the 1, 3, 5. So if you're playing any major, so if you're playing to with a guitarist or a pianist or anybody, and they're playing in A major chord, so you know you're going to play the 1. You can play the 1, the 3, and the 5. So you can play any combination of those notes, and you're going to be in key with them. So that's the 1, the 4, and the 5. So those are common chord progressions you'll see in blues, for instance. The 12-bar blues uses the 1-4-5 pattern. So just if you get anything out of this video, is just learn the pattern. Play it up and down. I recommend it requires a lot of practice before just drilled into your fingers. And then on the next video, we'll use that same scale, and then we'll start developing simple little bass lines that we can use with it. And right now, since we're playing the major scale, it's also the first mode. The names of the modes aren't necessarily important. Just know that this is the first mode, or the Ionian mode. I think they're given Greek names. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact history why they're given Greek names, but so first mode, Ionian. Well, that's all I have for now. So like I said, in the next video, we'll come back to the major scale, and then we'll try to add a little more to it. All right. That's all for now.